first woman to win the Booker Prize twice, the first to win the Turner Prize, the first female beefeater. A few of the 100 women here who've made history.
Me, actually, yeah. Yeah.
Betty Boothroyd, the exhibition patron, the first ever woman Speaker of the House of Commons, is getting a preview from the photographer behind it all.
Quite a nice picture.
In the House of Lords and in the Royal Gallery, isn't it?
I think she captured me there, a working woman, and that's enough for me because that's what I am.
The first women are trailblazers, they're pioneers, they've broken through many boundaries and barriers. It was important to capture not just the well-known celebrities, but also ordinary women that were doing their own firsts in their own fields.
Michelle Parker from Worcestershire made history 10 years ago when she was sworn in to one of the oldest City of London livery companies.
I'm the first professional female blacksmith to be a member of the Worshipful Company of Blacksmiths.
And that has been around a long time, I imagine.
700 years, yeah.
And they've never had a professional blacksmith female before?
Not a woman, no, no. Obviously, lots of men. It's a shame that it took till 2008, but it's not surprising, is it? Often women look at steel from a slightly different viewpoint. Steel's hard and cold, but when you put it in fire, you can make it look really soft and give it a lot of movement.
They call her Anne. It's short for anvil.
Of course, women working in forges is nothing new, particularly in wartime, but it's traditionally been seen as a man's world.
She can fit a horse with an iron shoe as perfectly as Prince Charming fitted Cinderella with a glass slipper.
Once you've proved yourself, it's fine, but you've got to go through that bit of proving yourself that you can actually swing a hammer, or you can forge, or you do know how to work the fire.
What's the best thing about it?
Being able to do what I want, when I want, how I want, if I want, because I want.
What is that? I don't know what that is.
She was the first female governor of Strangeways Prison.
Oh, really? Gosh.
Back in the day, Strangeways Prison in Manchester was entirely male. Until in 1982 it got a new governor, one of 11 in charge of the prison and the first woman in the job.
As I was walking across the landings going to my office, a young officer came along and said to me, "Are you the new governor?" And I looked at him and said, "Why, who wants to know?" And his response was, "We just want to know if you're a bike or a dyke."
And that was just day one. Her prison officers had even more tricks up their sleeves.
I was bundled into a silent cell for a while just to see what the response was, and I was told it was an initiation that all governors went through. I don't believe that for a minute, but so I just sat on the floor and sang until they realised that I wasn't going to cry. You needed a thick skin, a sharp tongue and a wicked sense of humour, because over time you get to be respected, but it takes time. You have to prove yourself.
I didn't know much about the footage until a couple of days later, and I found I'd gone viral on BuzzFeed. Woo!
You may remember Professor Monica Grady from when the European Space Agency's Philae lander touched down on Comet 67P.
The biggest bit we've got is this piece of an iron meteorite, which is heavy.
Whoa, that is really heavy.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So
Professor Grady's been studying meteorites for 30 years. She's the first European woman to be president of the International Meteoritical Society.
I knew I wanted to be a scientist from a very young age, from the age of when I was about 8, when I didn't even really know what a scientist was. But I just knew scientists did things, and I wanted to do things. Scientists are some of the most creative people that you can get. You have to be able to think of things of multi-universes and life on alien worlds. I mean, what's more creative than that?
It should hit the board. You see?
Check it out, triple 20.
Lessons with a champion. 13 years ago, Essex's Deta Hedman was the first woman to beat a man in a televised UK major open darts championship.
It still is a man's world in this game of darts that we play.
I'll give you an example, the World Championship. Now, the men at the moment is 100,000 and the ladies only 12,000.
For winning?
To win it.
Unlike her male counterparts, Deta has to work, clocking up 14-hour night shifts at the Royal Mail. Her 100-plus world-ranked titles have been won at some cost.
Really, my early days, I did face a lot of discrimination in being a woman and being who I am. They couldn't believe that, if you like, a black woman could play darts like that. But it did used to get to me because you kind of think, why am I playing this game? But then it also spurred me on to achieve a higher goal, to say, carry on. I'll show you I'm better than you, and it will get to where I want to get to.
I'd be much obliged if the house would settle down. Oh, order! 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 The house must come to order! I had no female role models growing up at all that I remember. I was just taken to political meetings with by my mother, and I remember meeting a number of women members of Parliament at that time, but they were certainly not particularly role models. I never believed that I could follow in their footsteps in any way. Never occurred to me that I was a woman doing it. What I was more pleased about was that I had been elected from the opposition benches. I had the confidence of the House. I wanted to return that confidence properly, and I didn't want to let womankind down either, so I had to do a good job.
All these 100 women have done just that. They refused to accept a woman couldn't do the job, blazing a trail for future generations, both male and female.